Good morning, we are live. How is it going, y'all? So, my name is Golden, and I am just here in YouTube documenting my life journey. As of late, it's been lots of documenting dealing with the breast cancer initiation that I have undergone and feel like in many ways I'm still continuing to undergo it, even though, they say that it's been put into remission. Now it's all the after effects that I'm working through. And so the way that I help myself cope with all the after effects that are major physical issues going on in my body, such as arthritis through the whole body, fibromyalgia, and then there's the emotional components of dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety, trauma, PTSD, um, and just the whole range of mourning and grieving, um, dying within this lifetime. And now I'm in this space of having been literally shredded to pieces. I am rebuilding my life from what feels like scratch, although there's so many beautiful gems of my earlier life experiences that I get to bring in with me. Um, so I've been in recovery mode, and what I have found instinctively in recovery mode is that there are tools available to us that call to us to be utilized for our healing. And these are tools of nature, tools that we have that we're born with in our bodies. I My understanding through embodied experience is that I am the earth. I am all of the elements here in this body temple, and so I become healed and activated when I work with the elements. So, one thing during breast cancer treatment that I instinctively was shown to do from my inner directive, my inner wise one, was just, it was like my animal body and my soul were driving me into nature for healing. And so, since I live near the ocean, I have access to the ocean. I would go there every possible day to receive the healing of being submerged in nature. And um, being grounded upon the earth, having skin to skin contact with the earth, getting my feet in the sand, getting my body in the ocean, feeling the cold water, feeling the air, feeling the sunshine. These are ways that we can access a activation and healing within the body temple. It creates transformation because it's bringing the primal mammalian animal body back online. And for those of us that have trauma or PTSD, or depression, anxiety, mood disorders, physical imbalances, nature helps us come online and find balance and healing within our bodies. So, along with nature therapy, eating nature, drinking nature, being submerged in nature, I was also directed to, from, let's say it's my soul. My soul directed me to the Wim Hof method. It came to me in this recovery process. And I had heard of Wim Hof prior to my breast cancer treatment and was intrigued by him, but never actually got into the practice. Just found him to be an intriguing human. And well, one of the reasons why I I knew about him and knew of him being called the Iceman, the Ice Shaman. Well, during chemo, I was actually iced every time. My hands, feet, and mouth were iced during one of the chemos that I was dosed with for about, I think it was about an hour each time I was iced, because they were trying to create They were trying to basically turn off the nerves in my feet, mouth, and hands so that I could minimize nerve damage, because neuropathy is one of the outcomes of that type of chemo that I took. And it can create massive mouth sores and lesions in the mouth to the point where you can't really eat or drink. The whole mouth gets blisters. And then if the chemo goes into the hands and feet, it creates nerve damage. So they iced me as a preventative measure, and it was a really horrible experience to be iced while getting chemo, while having these massively highly carcinogenic poisons pumped into your body, and feeling, for me, I felt deranged during the whole chemo process, and it was extremely traumatic for me every single time. And the ice part was just horrific. And so I really created this, what's the word, aversion to ice. And I couldn't even think about Wim Hof. I couldn't even eat ice or use ice in my drinks. It was just, chemo does things to one, and it created a massive aversion to ice for me. So later on, when chemo was done, treatments were done, and I was in this recovery phase, he came across my consciousness again, and I started researching his breathwork method, the conscious breathwork method, and I started applying it. And I just literally from the first time was changed and inspired, intrigued, and wanted to learn more, and began to study his method, and became devoted in my practice of doing the breath work daily, and didn't want to do the cold shower aspect because I just have an aversion to cold, and never having liked the cold prior. I've always just called myself a tropical fish. I've always loved the warm. I love warm ocean water. I love summer. I love heat. I love the sun. I love to be hot. I've always dreaded winter. Also for the mood aspect of it gets dark earlier, it's cold, and I've always just wanted to keep my body warm and cozy, and that's my comfort zone. And so I started to get really deep in studying his method and learning about his philosophy of the breath work, the conscious breath work, the style that he does and teaches, the cold therapy, and then the mindset. So it's kind of like he has 3 pillars to his method. And I was fully on board with the breath work, and had never experienced holding my breath that long that you can do with this conscious breathwork style. And well, I want to get into talking about the breath work, but I just want to kind of speak on the other two. With the research and understanding his methodology and the scientifically proven benefits of the cold therapy, I was more open and apt to trying this out and overcoming my aversions because of all the benefits that come with it. So, even for me, I love the ocean. I love going in the ocean. Sure, the San Diego ocean is not freezing in comparison to other parts of the world, but I've always been I don't want to go in the cold water. I love Caribbean warm ocean. And so for me, San Diego ocean is pretty cold. But I just wanted to I wanted to explore the cold therapy aspect, and I wanted to work through that because a big part of his philosophy and what he's proving scientifically is that human beings over time, ever since we've become civilized, which meaning there's a dominant program, there's a dominant system that has sort of domesticated, not sort of, has domesticated human beings. Our wild animal selves have become domesticated, and in our domestication, we have created comfort for ourselves, and we have insulated ourselves from the natural elements, to the point where it has very much so disempowered us, because we're so addicted and so in need of always being comfortable that we have lost access to our natural abilities because we're always in the comfort zone. And so his philosophy in that really activated me, because going through the cancer treatment, I was so far outside my comfort zone on all levels. All levels. I mean, just the diagnosis alone. The diagnosis came the day after my father passed from stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And I had watched him deteriorate rapidly with that and then leave his body. And then the next day I got the call, and it was just like shock on shock. And then being placed on the bullet train of therapy, of the Western therapies to save my life, right? And, you know, just the diagnosis alone took me completely outside of my comfort zone. And life wasn't easy before diagnosis. I was already at the max of intensity and stress in my life. So that just kind of blew my consciousness to smithereens of like, oh my God, like there is no comfort zone anymore. I was in the abyss of chaos and darkness and being completely, utterly confused by life. Like, life, how could you hand me this on top of the level of intensity and stress that I'm already under? And so, I mean, going through cancer and then my job letting me go during cancer, and just, it was just a snowball avalanche of totally way far light years beyond comfort zone. So I was already keen on this idea of like, wow, there is juiciness way beyond the comfort zone when we can acclimate with it and work with it. It's easy for us humans, domesticated humans, to become so consumed with being outside of our comfort zone in a disempowering way because we don't know how to navigate it. So Wim Hof is all about saying, here's these tools that you can use to get outside the comfort zone and remember who you truly are and bring your consciousness back online in your body and heal the imbalances, the chronic imbalances that come from living as domesticated animals. And so he talks a lot about how the cold therapy brings our consciousness back in, beyond the neocortex. You know, he talks about how we're so up in the neocortex, we're so up in the thinking brain, and we oxygenate that area 25% more than the rest of the brain. And so the middle brain and the brain stem are not online in our bodies, and we lose conscious contact with our human natural abilities. And so he's talking about how the breath work and the cold therapy and the mindset, when we work these tools, we come back into having access to all of our abilities. And these are abilities that we're born with. And so he's like, people call me superhuman because of these things that I do, but he's like, I am no different than any other human on the planet. I just have remembered my abilities. So, and he's remembered them by having embodied experience. So, that being give a preface to having this experience in going through the fundamentals program that an angel donor was so generously kind to donate to me. And I'm in the week of the spirituality module. And so in the spirituality module, we are utilizing the conscious breathwork practice and tweaking it ever so slightly so that we are decalcifying the pineal gland and creating DMT release in the brain. And this morning was the first time for me doing this part of the method, and I just want to say that, first of all, it's hard to find words, it's hard to find languaging to bring to experiences that are beyond words, and so bear with me, but the coming online of consciousness through something as simple as breathing that we all have access to is just, it's amazing. I don't even know the words, but it's incredible to be able to breathe my way into states of being, that I have access to 24/7, that we aren't taught these things. It's like we're not taught these things in our day-to-day life. And in fact, we're always invited to be tuning out and numbing out, because the way that the program and the dominant system and structures have us so uncomfortable and so on survival mode that we want to just tune out of the intensity. So to embody these tools like breath work and the cold therapy and mindset that are just a natural part of our being, that bring us into tuning in and then having the incredible experiences of euphoria and deep peace and deep, profound bliss is just, it's amazing. And especially for someone like me who, as a younger person, I didn't know these tools were available. So, I spent a phase of my younger years tuning completely out and abusing a lot of substances, and therefore myself, to seek, not consciously, but I was seeking transcendence. I was seeking the euphoria. I was seeking the ease and the bliss and the connection and the oneness, barking up the wrong tree, right? And doing these destructive practices. And wow, literally right under my nose is a holy practice that brings me into a state of peace and bliss that I have wanted to feel my whole life. And how beautiful to have access to this, especially in a time where so many of our plant medicines have been made illegal and have been criminalized, and we've been taught are these, horrible things that we should avoid. But it's like experiencing expanded states of consciousness is our birthright as human beings. And so, you can take away our plant medicines and make them demonic and illegal, or in the programming, but breathing deep, you can't take that away from us unless you kill us. So yeah, this breathwork practice, this morning is I had no expectation going into it, and within minutes I'm in a place of euphoria and bliss and peace, natural access within minutes to a place that so many people upon the planet are seeking, with oftentimes substances that, beyond plant medicine, it's like lots of pharmaceuticals. People are taking these things just to even seek out a norm, not let alone like bliss, peace. And so I just want to speak on that and share with you that something as simple as breathing can take you into a place that you might maybe consciously or not even consciously realize you've been longing to feel your whole life, just by breathing. And so to think, we can decalcify the pineal gland. We can release DMT just by breath. How beautiful. And so to be in this space of breathing that takes me out of the thinking brain into deeply feeling, into a place of peace that it's like you don't even have to try to meditate, you're doing it. That is something I've not been able to achieve my whole life when I've tried to sit to meditate. Even after, yoga. Yoga's great because the physical rigorous practice can move the energy through and tire out the mind. That's the whole point of the yoga asana, right? Is to wring us out so we can drop deeply into a meditative state so that we can have the experience of the oneness, which is our true nature. It's the truth of who we truly are. Coming back to the place of stillness to experience the deep inner peace, our true nature. So to be able to just drop in and feel this peace, I just want to share with folks that it is possible and you can get there on breath alone. And so, I was so peaceful and in such a place of euphoria that I didn't even want to come out of the meditation. And I lingered there. I enjoyed the ride, and I had no expectation going in of what was to come. But the peace that came was just very, very special. And I notice it comes from this conscious breathwork practice. The deep peace just comes. And I just want to share that with folks. A lot of us, so many humans are struggling just to be human on the planet nowadays. And I want to give hope that we can get to this place just simply by being embodied and breathing. And I have so many beloved people who are struggling with addiction and substance abuse, and I know through my own experience that is seeking this place of, I feel safe and comfortable and connected in this body, right? That's all of that is. It's an innocent seeking of divine union. So there's that. And eventually when I came out of the breath work, I did my movements. I love to do my movements in front of my altar. I have all my morning devotions, and then I go take my cold shower. The cold shower started off, my first one was like 10 seconds, and it was terrible. The entire 10 seconds seemed to go on and on and on, at length. Uncomfortable. Didn't enjoy it at all. It's pretty awful. And so I'm building up, and I've been doing this since January. And it's late March now, and I've been doing it every day. And I'm at the point, this is wild. I'm at the point with cold shower therapy that today I almost hit a 5-minute mark of, okay, so the first cold shower I ever took, it was, he says, enjoy your hot, warm shower as long as you want, and then at the end, you're telling yourself, okay, I'm going to cold now. So you prep the body with mindset, going into cold, shift it to cold. That's what I was doing. And then over time, every day, it was a little bit more and more and more. Then it was, I would play with going hot, cold, hot, cold. And then I went with hot into like cold for 1 minute, cold for 2 minutes, not going back to hot. So ending on the cold note. And I gotta say, like, I am blown away by the experience, because for me, I'm getting the euphoria blast in the shower, in the cold, something that I have really not enjoyed ever and like dreaded. And the more I practice it, the more I'm like, wow, it's so incredible. It's so euphoric. I feel so alive. I'm like, I feel. And for somebody like me, I had my breasts removed during breast cancer. And so I just have the scars. Here they are. And I gotta say, like, the ability to do this is massive. For the first year, it was excruciating to touch my chest with even this light, tender touch, because of the trauma and because of the cutting of the nerves. So much nerve damage, having lymph nodes removed, having radiation all through this side. Massive trauma, massive, horrific pain all over my chest. In fact, for the first year, it felt like I was wearing a steel plate on my chest. And it was, imagine a combination of ultra hypersensitivity and numbness simultaneously. It's bizarre. There's no other way to explain it. But any kind of touch was just gruesome. And so for all that time before Wim Hof cold shower therapy, I couldn't even get the water pelting from my shower onto my chest because it was so painful. Now I'm at the point where I can face the shower head on, have it hit my chest. It's not painful. It's actually, I don't know if I would use the word pleasurable. There's no pain on my chest now. It's comfortable, which is shocking. And anyone who's had their breasts removed or has major scars here from their nerves being cut through can probably attest to what I'm saying. Having the shock of touch and shower water hit our chest, it's horrid. So this is helping me a lot work through the trauma and bring regeneration and blood flow and sensitivity and ease back into this area. And so now I can stand there and let the water pelt me, and there is no pain. This is massive for me. This is massive on many levels. And spontaneously now, I'm at the point where I am bowing in to this very cold water hitting me in reverence. And, you know, like Wim Hof says, the cold is merciless but righteous. And when I'm in there in the super cold water and it's pelting my whole body, okay, I didn't finish my thought, so let me come back to this thought. I got to the point where I was doing the warm, and then I'd go to cold for like 1, 2, 3 minutes. And then at a certain point in the program, he's like, all right, you're going to start off in the cold now. And I was like, fuck, I really don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. Even though I can go to the ocean and submerge myself in the very cold ocean, I don't know. I think it's a mindset thing where it's like, I'm going to willingly step into a cold shower. Like, why? You know, like, why am I going to do this to myself? It sounds like masochistic. So, but I've shifted my relationship with the cold water where at the end of a warm shower, going into cold and ending on cold, it's shifted my relationship with cold water. It's shifted my relationship with my body. It's shifted my access point to euphoria with cold. Euphoria from cold submersion. What wild, right? So the first day I entered the cold shower. I just turned on the cold and I told myself, and he coaches you, you tell yourself first, we are going into the cold. You prepare your body mentally for this. And I get pumped, you know, and I'm coming out of the breath work and then morning devotions at my altar. So I'm already in that consciousness space. I'm already a yes in my body to it. I already know the benefits from having done this for a couple months now. So first time, I'm like, here I go. I got in and it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And what I found, this is wild. The first, I'd say about 30 seconds or so, and I'm going in face front to the cold. I'm not going into my back. I'm going in face front. I think for me it's kind of a psychological thing where I'm like, I'm facing it head on. And I'm facing it willingly. And I'm coming in actually humble and devoted to be shown what the medicine of the cold water is here to teach me. It wants to teach us, right? It's merciless but righteous. This is true. So I'm going in head on, and that means automatically it's hitting all of this scarred area and this traumatized area. And I'm facing it, and my body goes right into a reverence shape. And I bow in, and I let it hit my third eye, and I let it hit my crown. I submerge myself. And then I go into the armpits, and because this is all so sensitive, I just want to say yes and go into it. I want to be a yes into the healing. And so it does feel intense, and I don't want to use the word shocking. It's not shocking in a negative way. It's just, it's so intense that it's like, it grabs your full attention. You know, it's like your whole focus is like, oh my God, here I am. And I'm taking in some trauma therapy practices into this where I'm like, there, I feel it on my chest. I feel it in my armpits. I feel it on my elbows. I feel it. I'm feeling my body again, because so much of trauma, unresolved trauma, is we do a lot of disassociating and disconnecting, or it morphs our sensing abilities in our body temples. So I'm using this practice to bring my consciousness into feeling the sensations. I'm fully present to the feeling sensation of the water on my chest, on my throat. I do a lot of throat activation in the cold, third eye, crown, whole body. Then when I feel completely activated, after about 30 seconds of that, it starts, this is wild, it starts to feel warm. This is so weird. I have to literally look down and be like, I didn't shift the faucet back to warm. What is going on? The first time I had this experience was when I was staying longer in the water. But now, the first time with it going in on cold, I was like, wait, what? And then I was going to my back, getting my back cold. And then after being there for a little bit, I'm like, why does it feel warm? This is so weird. My body's not shivering. It's not shaking. It's not resisting. It's fully a yes to the cold. And the cold water feels warm. It's wild. I don't know how I know he's talked about the science, and I don't think I'm going to be able to fully articulate the why, but there's a scientific reason why this happens. But when you experience it, it's just bizarre. I mean, now I do have to look back and be like, I didn't turn the handle. Why is it warm? This is so weird. So now I'm to the point where I'm staying in just straight up cold for today. It was almost 5 minutes. I time it just out of, I like to track my progress with all of my breath retentions every day, and I time my showers. He has an app actually, and so I enter in all my info because I'm really interested in documenting my progression with this method. And so it's interesting. This morning, my experience was all of the decalcifying the pineal gland, the DMT release in the brain, having that euphoria in the breath work, and then moving my body, and then coming in for the shower. And the shower was like I said, almost 5 minutes of cold. And I'm like singing. I'm stoked. I'm in the shower. I'm feeling it. I'm smiling. I'm laughing. I'm alive. I'm alive. I get out today and I'm like, I'm warm. I feel warm. I don't feel cold. Why? My feet feel warm. It's wild. And so then I go into my free flow movement after that of dance, and I just feel so alive in my body. And this is helping me with my trauma. This is helping me with my PTSD. This is helping me manage depression and anxiety and mood and the inertia that can come with depression. The inertia of depression can be so intense that it can make us want to just stay in bed and not even get up. And also when you have chronic physical pain, like I do, arthritis and fibromyalgia, chronic debilitating pain can be so intense that it makes you just not want to move your body. And it's like the pain, the physical and the emotional pain can feed in a vicious loop, and it becomes so intense that it makes you want to shut down from feeling, and it creates a massive inertia in the body that is like, it's very debilitating and incapacitating. And so these practices help bring our consciousness and our mind and our emotional and our mental and our physical and our spiritual bodies online in the body and create a balance. And I feel myself healing. And it's a non-linear practice. Some days are much more alive and energized than others. But compared to where I was a year ago, there is a massive amount of healing. And I have a lot to say about the efficacy of the Wim Hof method with the cold therapy. Now, the way when I go into the ocean now compared to before, it's so different. It's not this shocking, uncomfortable, intense thing. It's like, yes, cold, I know you. Cold, I know you. Cold, you're my ally. Cold, I want to work with you. Whereas before I'd call it uncomfortable and painful and avoid it, or not be able to work with that element as effectively as I can now. And then like the breath work, I know when I'm feeling down in the dumps how to bring life force energy back online in my body. I know if I go take a cold shower, it's literally going to change my mind state and how I'm feeling in my body. And so, circling back to this idea of these being domesticated animals and so stuck in the comfort zone that we avoid what is outside the comfort zone. And through my own life experience and through these practices, I realize that, you know, the transformation happens outside the comfort zone. And actually, we can access euphoria and bliss and peace when we step outside the comfort zone. It sounds like a paradox, but it's true. And I'm a proponent for it. And being a dancer, being a mover, being a person who's been a practitioner of yoga and pranayama for many years, I want to speak on and hold space and facilitate this journey for other people. And so I want to encourage you, if you've watched this far and you've made it this far, know that somebody like me, I named for you all these things, not only that I'm dealing with from cancer, but just simply like living within the dominant patriarchal society, this level of stress that comes with that. You know, me being in a space of major, massive recovery from breast cancer, from a very rare, the rarest and most aggressive form of breast cancer, and the rigorous, barbaric Western treatments that I underwent, and, you know, losing my job, being a single mother who has to pay the rent, who is doing it all, you know, it's on me here. And so I have to have the tools for healing and transformation to be able to make it in this world. And I know my story is not different than so many people on the planet. So many people on the planet are struggling to simply be alive and stay in the body and get through just today. So I want to be a proponent, and I want to be a lighthouse and be an embodiment of the fact that we have access to tools in our body and with nature that help us not only survive, but find ways to thrive within a system that doesn't want us to thrive. It's not designed for us to thrive. And it wants us to be unconscious, asleep, numbed out, tuned out, disconnected, disempowered, easier to control. But nature wants us thriving. And our body temples are designed for us to thrive within nature and to survive against all odds. So, thank you if you've made it this far with me. Thank you for dropping in with me. I'm glad I did this on YouTube so that it can live on. I love to do lives on Instagram, but they go away after 24 hours. So I want this to live on, and I want people to have access to what I just shared. And again, if you made it this far, thank you for being here with me. And I affirm that we are infinitely blessed. I affirm that every life experience that we have endured thus far has happened for us, designed by us, to bring us into the awakening process, to remember the truth of who we truly are, so that we can fully maximize on this earth journey of our soul's experience. We came here on purpose. You are on an incredible, purposeful soul mission. And so why not fully embody that now? And if you feel like you're in the throes of darkness, if you're in the throes of chaos, know that even though it feels horrific and perhaps unbearable right now, that it is happening for you. And I'm not saying that from a place of theory or that I read it in some spiritual text. I'm saying it from a place of experience. I lived it. I've lived it many times. And I want you to know that it's happening for your awakening. And that there are tools within your body temple that will help you alchemize the experience. So the temptation, because of what the world taught us, is to tune out. But I'm telling you, there is also an invitation to tune in. And when you tune in and use the tools available to you, that is the transformation. That is the alchemy. That is when you discover the light within the dark. The dark births the light.